national development.
For a minute there, I thought I'd been demoted. Conference. 5 weeks ago, I stood at one of the busiest crossings along the border of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I saw the vital support that UK aid is providing to prevent Ebola crossing borders. I spoke to health visitors, community leaders, women and children in a local school, and their verdict was unanimous. Britain's international leadership in combating the spread of this deadly disease has been critical in saving lives. Now, of course, some may ask, why does this matter for Britain? And to them, I would say, because it is the right thing to do. Since August 2018, over 2,000 people have died in East Africa because of Ebola. The last reported case, a 9-year-old Congolese girl. And what I would say is that if we can prevent deaths from diseases where there are cures and vaccines, we must act. But for me, the Conservative Party's ultimate goal is about supporting countries to help themselves, to become economically self-sustaining, our trading partners of the future. I want developing countries to trade their way out of needing aid. It is a vision shared by my brilliant ministerial colleagues, Zach Goldsmith, Andrew Morrison, Andy Stevenson, and Liz Sugg. Now, Conference, successful countries draw on the talent of all their populations. And that is why I'm absolutely delighted that our Prime Minister is championing 12 years of quality education for every girl around the world. On a visit to Kaduna State in Nigeria, I saw precisely what British leadership and support can achieve. I visited a previously failing school, which, with UK support, had doubled its school roll in 2 years. Over half the pupils enrolled are girls, and they're achieving great results. And the students spoke of their ambitions to be business leaders, journalists, doctors. Conference, we should be very proud that it is a Conservative Prime Minister and a Conservative government helping to empower girls and women around the world. But Conference, we know that Conservative Prime Ministers have a habit of setting the pace on global action. I remember the last time I spoke on the main conference stage. I was 20, so just a few years ago. But we were in Blackpool, some of you will remember this, we were in Blackpool and Margaret Thatcher was our Prime Minister. Now for all of us, Lady Thatcher is an icon, and that is certainly how my family has always regarded her. It was her economic policies that allowed my parents to build their small business. And on a personal level, my family owes her a deep sense of heartfelt gratitude. But of course, Margaret Thatcher set the pace in so many areas, including on climate change. She did more than any other major UK politician at the time to legitimise the environment as a concern at the highest level. 30 years ago, she spoke passionately at the United Nations about the threat posed by climate change. And this week at the United Nations, our Prime Minister announced that we will double our support to help developing countries turn the tide against climate change and species loss. Conference, it is us Conservatives tackling climate change and protecting the world's biodiversity. Since arriving at DFID, I have renewed our emphasis on economic development, particularly when it comes to climate-resilient infrastructure. I've set up an infrastructure commission to help us mobilize private sector investment to create jobs which will lift millions out of poverty in Africa. We must support partner countries to raise more resources through private sector investment and their own tax revenues. So, within 10 years, we want to support partner countries to raise 10 times more resource through private sector investment and their own tax revenues than they receive in UK aid. That is how we build sustainable economies. And that is where we differ so much from Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party. Labour believe in handouts at home and abroad. We believe in a helping hand. Labour see business as the enemy. We see the private sector as an enabler. And leaving the European Union will present new opportunities. We will be able to spend our aid budget more efficiently, deciding for ourselves what to spend it on. And that's why we need to get Brexit done. Now, Conference, we know that the only reason our country is able to help others is because of our strong economy. A strong economy rescued once again by a Conservative government from the clutches of another failing Labour administration. This is an economy based on sound economic principles, delivering record employment, wages growth outpacing inflation. What is Jeremy Corbyn's economic model? Venezuela. And who is Jeremy Corbyn's, one of his friends? Maduro, the Marxist ruler of Venezuela. A man whose policies have resulted in millions of Venezuelans fleeing their country and millions more trapped, suffering the impact of a growing humanitarian crisis. Their economy collapsed, their public services collapsed, the very being of the country on life support. We should be very proud that Britain has stepped forward to provide life-saving humanitarian support to millions of Venezuelans. Just last week, I announced an aid package that will deliver life-saving medicine and clean water to those suffering from the dire crisis in that country. Conference, Venezuela should serve as a grim reminder to all of us why we cannot allow Corbyn and his Marxist henchman McDonnell loose on the British economy. We need a thriving economy in order to be able to help others. And as Conservatives, I believe there is a moral and economic case for UK aid. What I will not tolerate is hard-working taxpayers' money, your money, being frittered away on projects that don't make a difference to the world's poorest. UK aid must be built on a commitment to end extreme poverty. Conference, we should be so proud to live in the best country in the world, a tolerant, generous, outward-looking nation with one of the world's biggest economies, providing leadership on the international stage, projecting British values around the globe. But to do all that, we must keep our economy strong with a Conservative government, united behind our one nation Prime Minister, ready to get Brexit done so we can move on and deliver on the people's priorities, delivering opportunity and economic prosperity across the whole of our great United Kingdom. Thank you.